All right, happy Independence Day, guys. It is July 4th, and before festivities started tonight, I decided to throw in the level kit. So I went with the Rough Country 1.5 or 2 inch kit, which is actually pretty decent. It's like 130 bucks. This spacer gives you 1.5 inches, and then there is a ring. Let's see if I can find it here. So that spacer will give you the extra 1/2 inch. Not throwing that in because I only need the 1.5 inches. Because the tires that I'm going with really don't even need lift, I don't think, but I just wanted to level it out. So I've already done the other side. It's done, and figured I'd just do a quick document on this side. So we're jack stands, tires underneath, and not really going to do a how-to because honestly, if you need a YouTube video to do this, you probably should just be paying somebody to do it. But I can tell you my method that worked on the other side is I disconnect the sway bar end link, pull off the 4 14mm nuts on top of the strut, obviously remove the lower strut bolt, pull the 2 bolts out from underneath the spindle, and everything drops down enough to where you can get the new spacer on top, and it all bolts back together. It takes a little bit of muscle, a little bit of finessing with the jack because you are trying to compress a spring, but honestly it went pretty smooth. It was way easier than when I did my 5th gen, partially because the bottom of the shock is not encapsulated like it was on the 5th gen, and I think that's how it is on the Tacoma. So there's a difference, I'm pretty sure, between the Tacoma and the 4Runner lower control arm. So this looks like the Land Cruiser lower control arm, which would make sense since it's built on a Land Cruiser chassis. But at any rate, yeah, let me get this side done, and then I will show you all buttoned up, and then we'll go out and see what it looks like. It's gonna look goofy because I still got stock wheels and tires for a few more days, but we'll be ready for the new ones. Also, one of the greatest things I've ever bought, I can't believe I've never had one of these in all my years, impact gun. So just decided when I was going to do this that I could either pay somebody to do it or I could spend the money on an impact gun and do it myself. This has made life so much easier. I don't care if you get DeWalt, Milwaukee, it don't matter to me, but man, so much less work. It's nice. It's all right. Let me get this buttoned up and we'll show what it looks like. All right, it is exactly 10 minutes later and struts out. It comes out so simple that piece of cake. Going back in, not so simple, but I checked timestamps because I was curious. Literally 10 minutes and here we are. So I'm not mad at that. All right, I wanted to point this out because I learned it on the other side. It kind of drove me crazy, but the bolts on the top of the strut are not symmetrical, as in they're not evenly spaced. It's not like a wheel bolt pattern. So if you don't line everything up, it won't fit. Like, those bolts are obviously off. So on the Rough Country one, I learned the RC has to point to the outside of the rig, and it goes on just fine. You can't install it any other way. I wonder if you can go completely backwards. No. So RC has to face out. If your spacer kit doesn't line up, just keep turning it. Not so much an issue on this, but when you go to, if you were to replace everything, you don't line it up just right, that's going to cause some headaches. So let me get this bolted up, Loctite everything. I do paint markers, so let me get this bolted up. All right, spacer's bolted on, Loctite using the factory hardware, paint marker because I just like to, makes me feel better, and it looks, looks factory that way. So now it's time to wrestle this thing back in there. Oh, the neighbors are starting their festivities early. I might go out to visit. Let me get this bolted up so I can be done. All right, here we are. 45 minutes since we started this side. Spacers in, everything's Loctited, paint markered, torqued. I won't post torque specs because everybody's got a different opinion. Look them up yourself. They're online. Toyota torque specs are pretty easy to find. But everything's bolted up. I'm going to do a once over again real quick just to make sure, and then throw the tire back on. All right, guys, it's a little windy, so I apologize if that's getting the audio, but only driven a couple miles. No weird sounds, no weird bumps. Everything's as it should. I don't know how well it translates on camera, but 1.5 inches in the front makes a pretty good difference. You can feel it driving it. I notice it, but again, it's just kind of one of those things I notice all the little nuances with my own vehicle. So I do think 2 inches would have leveled it, but I also know that I have some weight to go in the back with the drawer system and stuff, and I would rather the front to be a little bit lower than the back rather than the other way around. So with that being said, heading to a baseball game, fireworks, 4th of July, all that good stuff. I'm happy with it. I mean, it's a pretty basic install, pretty basic mod, pretty inexpensive, but it definitely will change the look of the rig a lot when the wheels and tires are on, which should happen in this coming week. So again, quick mod, only took a couple hours to install. Pretty happy with it, man. The weather's nice out. The clouds look great in the camera, hope it translates. So anyways, again, rough country, 1.5 inch spacer lift. Didn't do the extra half, so it's not the 2, it's just the 1.5. If I really want, I can throw that extra spacer in pretty quick. So that's it for this one, guys. We will see you on the next one. I'll be safe tonight. Keep all your fingers and all that good stuff. See you next week.